Okay, so let me start. So, are you getting my voice? Please, anyone respond?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so in the exception handling, we are left with some few topics like a keyword asset. So, here asset is a keyword. So, this keyword generally we are using so for the comparison of the two statements, whatever it may be, a comparison of two statements. So if the comparison is true, that means here we may get the in the majority of in cases a Boolean result only. Not only majority, in all the cases we are getting the Boolean result only. So comparison of the two statements. For example, so in general case, if we compare, so print of so 1 double equal to 1. So if we execute this statement, so then what happens? If it is true, then you may get the true. If it is false, then you may get false, right? But here also there is some type of error. So if we use some asset keyword, then what happens is if the statement is true, that means if these both values are equal, then in that cases we are getting true value. Okay, otherwise false, right? But whenever so this statement is false, in that cases so it raises some error, right? So if you use this asset, so it gives some error. So what is that error is an asset error, right? So assertion error, that means whatever the comparison we are doing here, that is not a correct comparison, right? So if it is true, then we are not going to print anything. But if it is false, then here we are getting error, right? As it is true, I'm not printing anything. Of course, if you want, you can print that, print of asset. Okay, so like that we can print this. Of course, I can't use this asset in the print statement, that's why I'm getting an error. If you want, you can pass that to some variable and you can print that variable. Because, but if we are comparing a wrong comparisons like 1 double equal to 2, then in that cases we are getting some syntax error, some error, that is a assertion error, of course. So we can do these comparisons like in many cases. Of course, 2 plus 2 double equal to 2 power 2, of course both are equal. 2 plus 2 equal to 4 and 2 power 2 is also 4. And length of my list comma 12 is less than 10. So that is, this is a list. Here I have a list with two elements only. So first thing is I have some string my list, and second one is so that means simple integer value 12. So length of my list is 2. 2 is always less than 10. Not only equal, I can use the all comparison operators, less than, greater than, less than or equal to, greater than or equal to, like that, right? So as the length of the list, this list is 2, so I'm getting 2 is less than 10, that is true. Of course, we are not getting any error. So range of 3. Range of 3 means obviously you know that. So range of some volume means up to n minus 1, 0 to n minus 1. So that elements list, it creates by default that elements list. So that means range of 3 means 0, 1, 2 only. So if you want, you can check that. So is that true or not? If that is not true, then here we are getting some error. If that is true, then I am not getting any error, right? I am not getting any error here, right? In this case, okay, session error, of course. Okay, so yeah, here we are getting, right? So if you want to handle this, of course, as I'm getting some error here, if you want to handle this in the exceptions, we can do handling that. So how we are handling that in the exception is, so just like try. So as I am getting some error here, I need to handle that. So here except, then, so what are the statements you want to print? You can print that, print of course. Here I am using some except. Instead of that, if you want, you can use the assertion error also. So simply assertion error, if you get the assertion error, then only it handles, right? Assertion error print. So wrong comparison or wrong check. So simply whatever the message you want, you can print that. Okay, wrong check, as that is not, of course. So maybe in these cases, because of some type comparison, so here we are getting some error. Okay, if this is true, then I'm not going to execute the except block. So for example, 1 equal to 1. So if that is true, then here I'm not good executing this. I am executing this statement only. As I don't have any print statement, here I am not printing anything. So all good. Okay, then if you run this, all good, right? So like that, when we compare two statements, so in that cases, if when we are not comparing a similar values, if you want to get some error, then in that cases we can use the asset. Okay, like that we can use the keyword asset. And next thing is, so just like the previous cases, so in the many cases we are used that sys module, right? So in the here also in the exception handling, we can use that sys module. So here that module we can use to get the exception details. Okay, to get the exception details, here we can use the sys module. Like already you know how to print the exception details, right? Like except and the exception type as some variable, reference name, some e. Then if you print that e, it gives the description of the exception. Or if you print e dot underscore underscore class underscore underscore, then it gives the type of that exception. That means a class type and the class name. Or if you want to print the name of that particular class, exception class, then so e dot underscore underscore class underscore underscore dot underscore underscore name underscore underscore. Already you know this, right? So as we are discussed in the previous classes. Okay, so in that way also we can print the exception details. Similarly, we can use the sys function, right? So using this sys module, we can print the exception details. Like so here, if you observe float of abc123, so I am saying float, but here I am passing some string value, that is not a floating value, right? So here we are getting some exception, right? Type exception, right? Then here what I'm doing in the exception, I'm handling that import sys module I'm importing. So exception tuple equals sys dot exception info. So this is a default method in the sys module. So exception info, so that it gives the exception details, right? So now I can print this. So if you observe in this, we have so error details, first type. So what type it is? Class, and the error name, class name is value error, right? And description and the trace bug, that means exit address location, right? So these three details here it is printing. Like that we can print the exception details here using sys module. Okay, so like that we can use some modules in this exception handling, like exceptions, context lib, and sys. So sys already we know like this. We can use these modules also in the exception handling, exceptions, context lib, and the sys. Okay, so this is all about the exception handling. Okay. I hope so all of you are clear with these concepts of exception. So next we are moving to the next topic. So our next topic is, okay, our next topic according to your syllabus is modules. But so if you want to discuss about the modules, you need to know the minimum basics about the functions. So then only it is possible to explain some working modules or explaining some examples. Okay, so that's why what I want to do is, instead of directly moving to the modules, what I want to do is I want to discuss some basic concepts of the functions. Then only I can move to the module, so that it may be clear for you people. So as I am not in our syllabus, as we are not covering that functions concept, so basic details I want to discuss here, right? Okay, now, so many of you know the C programming and Java programming. That's why it may be easy for you people to understand these functions. Just like in the Java C, here also we have the concept of functions. But how we are defining a function, how we can call some function, and how we are passing the parameters. Okay, and if you declare some variables, what is the scope of the variable in the functions? So these basic things we need to discuss here, right? So first thing is I need to discuss how we can define. Okay, here to define a function, I'm using a simple keyword def. Okay, here in the Python we are using the keyword def to define a function. Then your class, that means your function name demo. So here function name demo. Okay, now so in this function, whatever the functionality you want to do, we can do. Of course, open and close the parenthesis and colon, right? After that, put a colon. So in this, you can do all the operations, whatever you want to do. So here I am simply printing a statement. So my first Python function. Okay. So I want to print some statement, my first Python function. Okay. Now, so this is my simple function. So I defined a function with the keyword def, and my function name is demo. I'm not passing any arguments. Okay. So we will discuss in the next topics how to pass the argument. So here simply demo, open and close the parenthesis and colon. Then in that I'm printing a simple print statement, or so you can return. So as you know, we can return something here, hello world. So I can pause this statement, or I can use print or return here. So first I want to demonstrate with the print. Now I defined a function, but how we can call that? So here I can call that function with that function name, right? You know already. So now if we execute this, so what is the output we are going to get? My first function, right? My first Python function. Like that, we can define a function and we can call that particular function. Of course, here we can use return also. So just I am calling that function, I am returning, but I am not printing that particular value, whatever we have. So if you want to print, I need to print here. Okay. Hello world. Okay. If you observe, in our point of view, simple variation between print and return, if we use in the function is, if we use print there, I need not to print directly. If you call that function, it prints. If you use return there, I need to print here. Okay, it returns that value. It is not printing. So I need to print here. So that is the variation. Clear? So this is the basic structure. Def, function name, open and close the parenthesis, colon, and then whatever the operations you want to do, I can do in that function. Calling the function is with the function name. Okay, now, so here I can pass some parameters also, right? I want to pass some a comma b. So here, what I want to do is, after passing, I want to read that and I want to do some operations with that. So some x equal to a plus b. I want to do some operation x equal to a plus b. Here I am passing two parameters a comma b, and whatever the values we are passing with the parameters, I am adding that, and I want to print the output. Hello world. Instead of hello world, I want to print that. So x. Okay. Now, okay, I am not passing that argument. So as I have two parameters here, I need to pass two parameters, right? So a comma b. So here I have two arguments. So here I need to pass two arguments, 2 comma 3. So this must be equal. How many parameters or arguments we have in the function? So that many type of arguments here we need to pass. Of course, we can do so some dynamic parameters also. That means dynamic numbers. So we will discuss, right? First, as I have two arguments, I need to pass two values. Okay, 5. So 2 plus 3, 5. Like that I can pass. Of course, not only 2. So if you want 3, A, B, C, then A plus B plus C, then I need to pass 3 values. So 4. Okay. Then if you execute this, 9. That is your output. Okay. Now, so simply how we are passing the parameters, you know, and I want to pass multiple parameters instead of so 3 only. In some cases I want to pass 2, in some cases I want to pass 4, I want to pass 6, like that. So in different cases I want to pass the different number of arguments, right? So in that cases what we can do, if the minimum arguments are 1, so definitely I want to pass 1. So A, If I want to pass more than one, then B. Okay, so A comma B. But so let me simply print that. So whatever the arguments I am passing, in this case I want to print that arguments. Okay, so here I am printing A, and then so our second argument is B, print B, or if you want you can return B, return B. So now if you observe, as I have A star B, so why I am using this star B is here A means at least we need to pass a single argument. Okay, at least we need to pass a single argument, a single value for the function, right? And star B means, so after one parameter, then you can pass. So how many parameters you want? We can pass the so number of parameters. Like it may be a 2, or it may be a 3, or it may be a 4, like that. So we can pass multiple parameters. If we declare some argument name as star B, it takes multiple arguments. So as I'm not printing, in that case, what I want to do, directly you print better, so that it may give some clarity. Print of, so as this is a list, so it is not printing. If I return, so better use print statement, then it prints. Okay, so in the first case I am passing only 2, I am not passing the second argument, as I have star B also, but even I can pass some value for this, or multiple values, or 0 values, some from 0 to some n number of arguments it takes. Okay, so I'm passing only 2, but as in the second one I'm not passing any element, so it is empty, comma 3 comma 4. Okay, 3 comma 4 I am passing. So in, if you want, you can pass multiple values like 6, 7, 8, 9, then okay, like that we can pass. So this is a dynamic number of arguments, right? So in the previous case, statically we need to define how many arguments you want to pass, either 2 or 3 or 4, but here dynamically I can use. That means in some case it may be a 2, or in some case it may be a 3, or maybe 4 or 5, but definitely minimum 1. As I am declaring A here, for that A I need to pass. So in without passing that, you may get some error, right? Minimum 1 and more than 1. So here I am getting some error. Why? Because this is a, so a definite argument. The definitely we need to pass some value for that argument. That is not a so optional one. So that's why at least I need to pass one value for that, right? So like that we can pass, that we can define multiple arguments also. Okay, so next thing, so okay, if we discuss about the scope, so if I declare some variable, some x equal to 10, okay, so in this function demo, so x equal to 10, then I want to print x equal to 20, and then print of x. Okay, then what I want to do is I want to define another function, control C. So here I don't want to assign some 20 values for x, then I'm not passing it. Okay, so I'm not passing any parameters, right? So here if you observe, here I have two functions, demo and demo1. Okay, let me take this as demo1. Then I'm calling two functions, demo and demo1. So here x equal to 10. So initially I defined some variable and assigned some value 10 for that, right? And I am defining a function. In that function I am assigning some value 20 for the x. Okay, I am printing that, and then I am defining another function demo1. In that also I am printing x. So if you observe, initially x value is 10, then x value becomes 20, then I am printing that. Here it prints 20. Okay, definitely it prints 20. Here in the second function, if you try to print, so which value it takes? Is it takes the 20 or 10? Okay, so in this case what happens is, this is a global variable. So this is a local variable. Okay, of course in the within the function the first priority is for local variable, that's why I'm accessing the local variable. So here it prints 20, so no doubt in that. But what about here, is it access the local variable of the first function or a global variable? So in this case what happens is it accesses the global variable. So this is a local variable, that variable is valid within this function only. So once the function is closed, then we can't access that local variable value. So if you try to put x, then it accesses the global variable. So the x value is 10 here, right? So 20 and 10, like that. Of course, by default, if you are declared some variable out of the function, means that becomes a global variable. If you declare some variable within the function, means that becomes a local variable. Here now I'm not using any keywords like you see, is that a local or a global, like that, right? So like that, yeah, within the function if you declare a variable, that becomes a local variable. Okay, now I can't access that local variable in some other function if you try to access. But if I want to access this local variable value only, how I can do that? Okay, so in that cases I have some keyword global. Global A. Okay, so I have a keyword global, so that I am declaring a reference, that means a variable A as a global variable, then I am using that. So in this case it becomes a global variable. So it is not A, it is X, right? Here I am declaring that X as a global variable. So here X equal to 20, then I am declaring as a global variable X, then I am changing that value to 20. So now this X value changes as 20. So if you access the X value here, then as this is a global variable, now you can access this 20 value. So if you execute this here, in this case you may get 2020, previously it is 2010, right? 2020. So like that. So whatever the variables you are declaring within the function, their variables are local variables. If you want to make them as a global variable, so we need to use the keyword global space that variable name, then it becomes a global variable, right? So and one more thing, is it possible to use so global x equal to 20, x equal to 20? Why I need to use these two lines? So it is not a valid syntax. So I can't assign like this. Even if you execute this, you may get some error, right? Syntax error, invalid syntax. That is not a valid syntax. So first you need to declare that as a global variable, and then only you can use that and you can assign some value for that, right? So these are some basic information, right? So how we are defining a function, so how we are passing some parameters for the function, and how we are calling that functions. And so if we observe the variables, so how we can define a variable as a global variable or a local variable. Of course, so out of the function if you are defined, even if you are not using a keyword global, by default it is a global. Okay, within the function if you define that, by default that is a local if you are not using the keyword global. Okay, and one more thing here we need to discuss is, here I can pass some default arguments, right? The default argument values means, so a comma b equal to 2. Okay, a comma b equal to 2. So here I have two arguments, a and b, but for b by default I am passing 2. Okay, then if you want you can print that. So I am not printing x if you observe, so I am printing a, then I am printing b. Okay, here I am printing a in the demo function and printing b. So here while I am calling some function demo, here you can either you can pass two values as I have two arguments, or single value. Why? Because second argument is a default argument, by default it prints 2. So in the first case if I pass 3, so I need to print 3 and 2, and of course this is 20, right? As I am changing here, so 3 and 2, by default it is 2, that is the default arguments, by default it takes 2. But if I pass some other value, then what happens is it takes the default value or whatever the value I am passing. Okay, so if you observe I am passing two values, here I have two arguments. Okay, For A, I am passing the value 3. For B, already the default value is 2, but here I am passing 3. So which value it takes? So is it 3, is it 2 or 5? So but definitely it is 5. Why? Because initially it is 2. By default it is 2 until we are not passing any value for that argument. So by default it is 2. But if you pass some value for that argument, then it considers that value only. Okay. So if you are not passing, then it considers default value. If you pass, definitely it considers that value whatever we are passing only. So it prints 3, 5, 20. Okay. So now I think all of you are clear with this basic concept. Maybe you are covered with these functions. So in your short-term course, okay. Okay. So with this basic concept, maybe it is clear for you to understand the modules. What is modules is, right? Okay. Now let's move to the our main concept, modules. Okay. So next, let me remove this. Okay. Now, so first, what is that module is? So before going to how we are implementing and how we are importing that module. So what is that module is? So in general, maybe you are doing with your mini projects, right? So in the mini project, so if you discuss about your project in generally, you may have some concept like, so what is the abstract of your module, sorry, what abstract of your project, and what are the modules you have in your project, and what algorithm you are using in your project. So these are the common discussion topics, right? So in that mainly, you may discuss about how many modules you have in your project, right? So what is that means module? First, you are using, even you don't know that concept, so you are using that module concept in while you are implementing your project, right? So now what is that means is, in some cases I need to implement with some functionality. Okay. So if that functionality is a maybe with the combination of multiple actions. Okay. So in that cases I need to write some thousands of lines of code. Okay. So writing that thousands of lines of code in a single program, it may be difficult to handle. Even if you get some error, then it may be difficult to handle, or it may be, so maybe it may create some confusion for the developer also, right? While I'm writing the coding. So if you get a single line of error, so it takes some time to check all that code and to rectify that error. Okay, because maybe multiple problems we have if you implement that like that. So instead of that, what we are doing is, so each and every functionality of that application we are considering as an individual module, and then we are developing that module as a individual component. Then we are importing that functionality in our main application, right? So for example, you are doing your project. So in your project you may have 3 or 4 modules. So you are, of course, your project is a complete application, but even though it is a single complete application, you are dividing that as a modules, maybe user module, administrator module, maybe some other like result module, like that you are dividing your project, right? So depending on your application, then you are developing the user module first, and then administrator module, then result module, then you are importing all that modules in your application and you are using that. So of course, for the developer, the concept are abstracted. That means we are hiding the actual implementation. That directly we are not interacting with the actual implementation. So hiding the details and we are importing indirectly, so that it may solve some types of problems. So it may, there may not be any confusion while we are implementing. Like so, for that, what we are doing, the largest application, whatever we are implementing, instead of implementing in a single application or as a single program, so we are dividing that as a modules. We are implementing individual modules, and we are importing wherever we required. Of course, one more advantage is, if the same functionality may be required in multiple places, I can import the same functionality in multiple places instead of writing the same code multiple times. Okay. So like that I can use that module. Then, so how we can define a module and how I can import a module. Okay. So first, so defining a module means simply you can write some piece of code and you I can save with that. Okay, then so first thing, how I can define that. So if I want to define a simple module, so let me rename that. So here my module demo underscore cp1. I want to rename that as calculator. Let me consider this as a cal. Okay, I want to cal. So my actually this is a simple program. Here I am considering this as a module. So my module is cal, simply calculator. In that module I can do some operations like addition of two numbers, subtraction of two numbers, and then division of two numbers. Okay, so for that I am defining some functions. Add def add of a comma b, return a plus b. I am returning addition of the two numbers, similarly subtraction of two numbers and division of two numbers. Okay, I am doing like that now. So this particular module, of course, if you observe, a calculator I can use in the different situations, or I can use in the different applications, right? So even it is a simple organize some engineering college application, admission application, let me consider. So in that case also I can do how many seats are filled, how many seats are pending, like that. If I want to do some calculation I can use that. Or it may be some simple store application. In that case also, if I want to do some calculations like how many products are sold and how many products are well left with, like that, if you want to do some operation, I may use that calculator operation. So that is a this calculator, if I define as a module, so I can import that particular module in the different situations wherever I want to use. Okay, now, so I'm saving this as a cal.py, and in this I have three functions. So addition, subtraction, and division. Now I am using this as a module, so in some other program. So how we can import that in some other application or some other program? So now I'm declaring with some other, and or I'm writing some other piece of code. So in that, first I need to import. So if I want to import, so that module name, so what is that module name? Call. So directly, if you want, you can import call, or you can use some reference name as ASD or some A. I'm importing that cal module, calculator module, as A, then I can use that. Okay, so in that, what are the functions? We have a dot, add, div, and subtraction. So these are the three functions we defined in that cal, right? As I imported that, here it is showing the intelligence like add, div, and subtraction I have in that particular module. So if I want, I can use the add module, some 2 comma 3. Okay, 2 comma 4. So it here I need to print with 6, but I need to print this, print. If I want to get the output, I need to print this as I return there. So I need to store. So demo, okay, call underscore cal. Okay, I'm calling the calculator module. That's why call underscore cal. Now it is 6. Okay, instead of that add, if you use the subtraction sub, okay, so -2. Of course, if you want, you can use div. So that is the division. So now how we are importing that? Here I am using a keyword import cal. Of course, instead of this as a, we can directly use that module name cal.div. Okay, because that works 0.5. Or I can use some reference name as a, then I can use the module name as a. Now as I have a some alias name, right, a reference name, so 0.5, like that. Okay, so if we use import cal as a, so I'm importing all the modules, that all the methods whatever we have in that particular module. So if I consider cal is my module, so in that cal I have three functions, right? That means three methods I have. Okay, so if you want to import the individual function, right, from cal, it is cal, it is capital, right? Import, so what particular function you want to import? So sub. Okay, from call import sub. So let me, okay, now So now subtraction particular function is imported. Now I can use that sub and can do -2. Okay. So here I'm not using any reference name, right? Like a dot sub or b dot sub like that. Okay. So if you want to import add, so directly I can import add and I can use that add. So this is for importing individual functions or individual methods in the module, right? 6 it is printing, right? So in the above case, I'm importing all the functions, whatever we have in that module. But in this case, I'm importing only individual function. So directly I can use that function also. Or in this case also, you can import all the functions. If we use asterisk symbol, then directly I can use add 6. Okay. So here I need not to use any reference like a dot add. Like if you import like from call import. Okay. So this is a simple way how we are creating a simple module. So creating simple modules means, so in a module you may have multiple functions. In that functions maybe multiple functionalities are different implemented. So with the file name, whatever the file you are saving that functionalities or functions, so with the file, so we can import in some other program, like import that module name as a, or from module name import star, like that we can import all the functionalities and I can use here. So here I am not writing any code for addition and subtraction and division. So all that code is in this module only. Okay, simply I am importing that and I am using here. Okay, I hope all of you are clear with this. Okay, so now, so next what I want to do is, so let me take a simple real-time working model on this. Okay, so may I know how many of you know how to calculate your CGPA and SGPA of your BTech? So anyone can respond. Rule number 537. Do you know how to calculate CGPA and SGPA? So 37 is there. Okay. So let me consider all of you are no. Okay. So then for that, if you want to calculate the CGPA and SGPA, I want to implementing that as a module, then I am importing, I am using that. Okay. Then how we can import and how we can use that calculation of CGPA and SGPA. Okay. So now first basic thing, I think, so already I wrote the simple piece of code for that. So basic thing, I think already you know, I hope. Okay, how to calculate that. So for calculating the CGPA or SGPA, so what are the inputs you need to know? So basically you need to know with credits for that particular course and grade points, how many grade points you got for that particular course means a subject, individual subject. Okay, and so that is enough for calculating SGPA, right? Semester grade point average. So individual semester, for individual semester. So here I am taking some input values of the individual, how many subjects we have in that particular semester, and for each and every subject how many credits we have and how many grade points we have. Okay, then simply I'm calculating the SGPA, right? And I'm printing that SGPA. So this I implemented in this page SGPA. This is I am using as a module. Okay, then CGPA. For CGPA also I may be implemented some code, but in this case what happens is I need to calculate for each and every semester. If it is SGPA, I am calculating for only individual semester. If it is CGPA, I need to implement for each and every semester. Okay, now if you observe this code I implemented to calculate the SGPA of a particular semester. If I want to use this as a single module, then I'm storing this as SGPA in some other programming. So here I want to use that particular module SGPA. Okay. So now if you import SGPA, here I am importing that SGPA module in my program and I am using the reference name a dot SGPA. Then whatever the value I am getting, I'm storing as X, then print X. Okay. I'm printing that SGPA. Okay. Now, so if I run this, so is this visible? Enter number of subject. So particular semester, for which semester you want to calculate the SGPA. So enter the number of subject. In general, let me consider I may have some 5 subject. So subject 1 credits, how many you have? So maybe 4, and then grade points. Maybe grade points are varies from 1 to 10, right? So if you get 1 means that by default it may be a fail. So minimum, I think it may be a 4 or 5. Okay. So grade points may be 8. That is the subject 1 details. Okay. For subject 2, enter the credits. Maybe same credits I may have 4, and grade points are 10. Subject 3 credits are 4, and grade points are 10. And subject 4, that means 3 subjects are completed. Subject 4 maybe 3, and then 8. Of course, for subject 4, 5 also I may have credits 4, and the grade points is 9. So now if you observe, my total SGPA is 8.84. Okay, 8.84. So similarly, if you want, you can do, or if you can convert that SGPA as a percentage. So how we can do that? So percentage equal, what is the formula for calculating the percentage from SGPA? Do you know that? X minus 0.5, is that correct? X minus 0.5 from the actual SGPA what you are getting, then you subtract 0.5, then into 100. So that is the value or percentage value. Then print that. Okay. So now I need to run once again. So number of subject maybe 5. Subject 1 credit is 4, 8, 4, 9, and 4, 10. Some 3, 9, some 4, 8, like that. Okay. Okay, what happened? Okay, here I am using this as a list. Sure. So instead of that, so I can do, I need to execute once again. So 4, 9, 4, 10, 4, 8, some 3, 7, 4, 9. Okay. Of course, 88 percentage. So here I need to convert this as a percentage value. So if you want to convert that as, so simply you can take one more zero. Why? Because so here SGPA value is like some 7 point or 6 point less than 10 only, right? So if you subtract that 0.5, then it becomes so some 8.2, right? Like then you will get the exact percentage value. Okay. Subject 1 credit is 4, 9, 4, 8, 3, 10, 4, 8, some 3, 10. 8.89 is the CGPA and 83.9 is the percentage. So if you want, you can print with the some message. Okay, that is not CGPA, is SGPA, right? As I am calculating for only one semester. Okay. Percentage. Okay. Now if you execute, then you may get the names, messages, SGPA and percentage like that. Okay. So here I am implementing that in a some other program. I am using that as module right here. If you observe, okay. Then similarly, you can calculate the CGPA also. For calculating the CGPA, so here instead of this, I need to import the module CGPA, right? So how I can import that a dot. So here CGPA and a dot CGPA. Okay. So now if you run this, I'm importing the CGPA module. So this then, so here I'm asking about the number of semesters. Of course, as I'm calculating the CGPA, I need to know how many number of semesters. So let me, if I semesters, how many subjects you have in the semester one? So let me consider 4. So credits, grade point 9, credits 3, grade point 10, credits 4, grade points 8. Okay. Then subject 1, okay, semester 1, subject 4 credits. So 4 credits and grade points 9. Okay. Then number of subjects in semester 2. How many number of subjects you have? Maybe you have 5. So credits 4, 9, 4, 3, 10, some 4, grade points 10. Okay. So now complete calculation is completed. Your CGPA is 9.3. Then similarly, the percentage also here in the CGPA. If you do some modifications for that, directly we can print the percentage. Okay. So percentage equal to. So what I can do, your SGPA. So is it CGPA or SGPA? Actually, this is a CGPA, but here I am using as SGPA. Okay, no, don't worry. CGPA minus 0.5 into 10. Okay, then print. So now if you print,